Let's go, LSU fans. We got a special film study for you because Jayden Daniels, it is a fact, had the best productive SEC game from any offensive player ever last night versus the Gators. But before we break down this play, let's take an all-22 angle of what actually happened here on first and second down. All right, so let me know if you guys like this. Some full speed, all 22 shots to mix in with this. As you saw on first down, that was as well of a defended vertical passing defense we've seen. They just had all our guys locked down. Then on second down, we didn't run for hardly anything. And then on third down, this is absolutely ridiculous, right? First thing, obviously Malik has to, get down. There are so many players, y'all, that would have their knee on the ground right here because the throw was low. The play is kind of awkward. And then not only to catch this football and your knee not hit the ground, turn upfield. I'm not sure if Brian Kelly, making this guy, I've never seen someone make so many players miss with their back turn to a defender. It's ridiculous, okay? So if he gets tackled right there or if his knee hits the ground, are we going for it on 4th and 1 in our own territory? I don't know. And then, obviously, Malik, after the catch, kind of reminds you of that early Missouri play when he had his back turn, and he's able to just make a lot of guys miss. Keeps his balance after his shoestrings get, almost taken down right there. And this is our best pass rusher making this play all the way down here. Just an all-time Malik Nabers game. All right, so now we get to this 1st and 10 view right here, and if I have time, I'm going to go look for this clip. I know I took a video of this. This was open to Malik right here. Okay, Jayden could have thrown this, and he decides not to because he feels this pressure from the right side. Once again, Princely is a big-time pass rusher, but if you want to get upfield, it's kind of like what we did versus Jalen Milroe. And this obviously isn't quite the same thing because he did do a good job beating him. But if you want to be aggressive with your pass rushers, Jayden's just going to make you pay. And if you're this good at running and they give you the sideline, once again, 17 is a really good athlete. It just doesn't matter. I mean, it's also ridiculous on these types of runs right here that Jayden never gets shoestrung tackled. Never. He never does. So not only does he eliminate the angles that you might have with the speed, he's also just very talented at making guys miss. All right, we get to this little pop pass. Jayden got a lot of passing yards on this play yesterday, and it's just nasty stuff again by Malik Nabers, okay? He should have been brought down to force a 4th down, kept his knee up, no big deal. 94 actually does a good job, getting out here. Just Malik makes him miss so easy, and this Mason was so good all night blocking. Once you see this block down the field, not only does he block him, he's just keeping on pushing him, helping Malik get upfield right here. And then, of course, Malik just never goes down easy. After 14 has him, he takes him for an extra 7 yards right there. And then eventually we get to this second down. I don't know if we're going to – I don't even know if I want to break this down. Did not like the 4 consecutive runs with Josh Williams for the 4th down stop in this one. Obviously, if Josh wanted to bounce it through here, he could have. This is just really good blocking. Once again, you always have to keep Jayden Daniels on the run. So Josh could have squeezed in right here, but then he just finds his hole. That's great, great goal line blocking right there. And Josh is a very good short yardage runner, and we score with him standing up. So it's pointless, really, to break down this LSU defense because it's just painful. And honestly, I'm just tired of talking about it. So I'm going to show you some fun photos. Got to meet Hayden Travinski and see the LSU baseball team get celebrated. So we'll do some LSU defensive breakdowns. Once again, up front, they really went after Jefferson with these double teams, right? So, you never want your DTs back turn like this, okay? But this is an RPO read, and the read right here for Graham Mertz is this safety. So Major Burns obviously crashed down into the box. So obviously his job, Graham Mertz, is to wait for Ricky Pearsall to get into the space. Pearsall's top 3 receiver in the SEC. I'd put him. He's definitely top 5, right? He's going up against Toviano here, and just obviously simple RPO stuff. And yeah, one thing, you did eventually get the Andre Sam targeting call a little bit later. Let's not stick our head down like that, because obviously it's also dangerous for your health. And then, of course, on this next play, this drives me freaking insane. A disaster class defensively. We struggle getting lined up, right? We're still making calls. They're going fast, so it's tough. But look, we're barely in our stance, right? 13 seconds left to go on the play clock, so good stuff by them to get into their offense. It's a little pop pass that we scored with BTJ on later, and then, of course, with Malik, we just had this pop pass go for a lot. This tight end does a good job getting a little piece of Oviegufu and then getting to this next level, but this is the crap I don't get, right? And this vaguely got me a shout-out on ESPN because I point this out to the announcers. It was Clay Matvick and Aaron Murray, that it was a Maction game, right, midweek game, and the player pulled the Deshaun Jackson thing. Kayshawn's done this before. Why do you drop the football right when you get into the goal line or right before you get to the goal line? Okay, so you'll notice he scores, the football's on the ground. This is on LSU as much as it is Florida, okay? Every single instance when a player does this, or even if they're 1 foot into the end zone, if he scores, go pick the football up. Go pick it up, because he could have dropped it before he got into the end zone, and they can review it after the fact. And if you get a clear recovery, the football is yours if you do it immediately. And absolutely, and you see him right here, really good football IQ right there by Montrell Johnson. He's from Louisiana, so that makes sense. Because we have Jayden freaking Daniels, it just doesn't matter what they do defensively. I believe this play concept is called Hank. You filmers out there, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we do get Chris Hilton on these little short hitch routes for a nice gain right here on first. And then we get to second down. God, Jayden's just seeing this so well. Okay, he knows since this blitz is coming second level and he's got a vertical route right here, it is going to be tough for this corner to leave this vertical and get out on Mason. And it's going to be tough for 18 if he does have just straight man coverage on Mason to get out there in time. But see what happens when you play quick. You get these wide open types of plays, okay? Mason gets it. Obviously, Mason would probably tell you this. Once you make this guy miss, you don't want to fall down, right? Because look at all these extra yards, he's potentially gaining, but it's still a nice, route and throw from Jayden and Mason. 2nd and 4, and this is just what Jayden has been cooking all year long with BTJ, right? And just honestly, even last year, Jayden and BTJ hit on so many of these, comeback routes. Obviously, the pass protection from LSU, what a freaking game from Will Campbell, one of his best that I've seen. And look at this, BTJ on these long, that's a cross-field throw comeback route. It's just so freaking money. So someone close to Jayden sent me that graphic right there, the 3-loss QBs. I mean, it makes absolutely no freaking sense that Jayden Daniels is not the Heisman Trophy winner at this point. Okay, nice zone read pull right here. Good finish, by John to just take that guy with you. And Jayden makes this guy miss, and he picks up the first. All right, here we go. The big John Emery run. This is just so filthy, okay? Showing the split zone look with Mason. Teams are just ready for it because, we've just killed them so many times with these plays. So let's just hand this football off to John. Look at Garrett Dellinger. My God, look at Will Campbell. My God, this is a chasm. Got all these guys squeezed down. So we need John to make this guy miss one-on-one. This is just a filthy move. And, yeah, it's just nasty. I mean, that's as good as you're going to see right there. I'm not going to show you the end of the run for obvious reasons. You can see Will so freaking excited for John. So I want you to see this from John. Look at how nasty this is. His left knee was so close to hitting the ground. Look at that shake, man. That is so insane. That is so freaking insane. So for brevity, not going to show you the 4 goal line carries. Man, I don't understand going Josh Williams 4 times in a row on pretty much the same play, okay? And this right here is just elite scheming from Billy Napier, okay? You're down in your own area. You show a very hard play-action fake, and once again, it's their blocking tight end leaking out right here, and you get a little split zone action from the receiving tight end. So if for some reason Toviano and Burns were back on him, you could just hit, Boardingham right here, and obviously the tight end is just wide open down the field here. Just a good tight end delay play, and this is really good stuff by Andre Sam to beat that blocker and make this tackle before it got worse. Now we get to this 3rd and 8, and we get a great pass rush move right here by Braden Swinson. Okay, the good news for LSU is you don't have to worry about playing a dual threat quarterback again. So when you do play someone that can't really beat you with his legs, you're able to get so freaking aggressive as a pass rush mover, right? And something else that I was begging Matt House to do versus Alabama is get more exotic and put someone head up over the center. I am a true believer. Either have someone head up over the center or have someone blitzing through the A-gap, right? Because that kind of pressure is so much more valuable. Okay, and you'll see this throughout that, yes, they actually did pick this up really well, but I like squeezing the middle, and this is just a better job right here by Braden Swinson. This offensive tackle probably watched a lot of film and said, hey, all I got to do is just ride him upfield. Last week versus Alabama, they just ran by the quarterback many times. Swinson said, look, I'm not going to let that happen. Once he got even with Graham Mertz, he cuts to the inside and makes this sack, and it's a strip sack. Big-time play to get your hand in there as well, right? Good stuff from Braden Swinson overall, and we get a nice turnover after they were able to, get out of their own area, and that's a good hustle job right there by Toviano to find this football, okay, and get on it and out-wrestle this guy. That's just want to. All right, so if you want to break down that 4th down play, guess what? It is on Patreon, okay? Lots of extra breakdown on there, including the biggest weakness of this LSU offense. And it is something that I worry about with the future of LSU football with Garrett Nussmeier. But look at this play call. I mean, look at the pocket. It's just so perfect. Once again, like I told you, Will is just going to have a lights-out performance after, Alabama. And so I want you to see Malik here. He's the guy that makes this happen. This is a perfect execution of, a rub concept, right? Where you're screening this guy essentially. It's like a screen and roll in basketball, if you will. I mean, that's just really good stuff from Malik. And obviously, you get the Jayden Daniels airmail. Tight spiral, just, overshot Mason, and we finally could have gotten this play to work, and we just... All right, so this is why Mike Denbrock is so freaking good, man. He just... God, this is just so good. I can't say enough of what he's done this year. So Mason and Malik just had a very exhausting play on 1st down, right? The wheel. So we had, a sprint with Mason. We had Malik. He's had an exhausting game up to this point as well. I love when we do this, right? Because this just gives Malik a break, right? You could see at the end of the Alabama game, he really began to wear down. Second thing, all right, once again, we always like to break down the protection. Offensive line, lights out. Hardly any bad snaps. I mean, I don't think there was a bad snap. Someone help me out here. Perfect twist pickup. I mean, it can't be better than this. It can't. But honestly, the Picasso, the biggest piece of art on this play is the throw. Okay, DB has straight up leverage on BTJ. If anything, it's a little bit to the inside. And this safety is actually shaded more to this side of the field. You see, he's not actually, straight up center field, single high safety. So this throw has got to be perfect. So Jayden stares down this safety right down the middle to potentially hold him, and then he eventually gets to BTJ over here, and he's actually looking at BTJ for a good portion of this play. So that gives that single high safety so much time to get over the top of this. And, last year we really struggled with slot fades, right? We didn't throw the ball high enough, and for a slot fade to work with the safety right here and this DB pretty even, the ball kind of needs to be on a line and kind of at an angle towards BTJ so he could catch it over his shoulder like that. Hits him in stride on the play after he missed Mason Taylor. The timing of it can be tough, right? You don't know how hard he's going to sell this double move. So you can't really throw it with so much anticipation because you really don't know how fast he is going to be breaking out of that double move or how long he's going to take for that double move. So to throw this football as well as Jayden threw this football is absolutely freaking absurd. So speaking of very fast QBs, I was able to chat with an old buddy, Russell Shepard. Obviously, I knew Russell when I was at LSU, and that's awesome. Saw Branson Cat, saw Steve, lots of wonderful people. Man, I just love talking about to Russell Shepard about modern offenses, his waste management business, how successful he is post-career. It's just crazy. I had a Florida buddy complain about holding right here. Once again, this is more than likely going to be called if you are the road team. Now, once again, that is very anecdotal, if you ask me, but I do think refs have a tendency to call holding on visiting offensive lines, if anything, right? This is not holding, though. If the hands are inside the chest plate, they're just not going to call it. That was a little extreme, but I'm glad they let that go. They're going to let the chest plate go, okay? But, the main story here is just Jayden freaking Daniels. 7, he was talking so much trash before the game. I thought it was funny. You might as well just stop, okay? Huh? And look, you could see it just, the speed at which he moves just spooks you, right? 34 looks like he's going in, and he's like, oh, I'm not built like that. And I get it. Man, it's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Good block down the field by Josh to get Jayden a few extra yards. And Jayden, of course, gets out of bounds. That's it, and he's just like toying with them. Honestly, he's just toying with them. It's crazy. And look at all these guys front row. All right, so you just saw this 3rd and 13 play in full speed. There's a reason why I break things down in slow motion. There's just so much stuff that happens on the course of a play, right? 3rd and 13, obviously we're in the red zone here, and our red zone execution wasn't the best, or even if you want to talk about extended red zone execution. And you get to here, they are running a fire zone, right? A cover 1 fire zone. So 1 deep safety help over the top, and this guy is actually dropping back into like a QB spy kind of role. And you notice blitz pickup here is insane. This is abso-freaking-lutely insane right here. LSU offensive line, give Brad Davis a lot of credit. After a rough game last week versus Alabama, they were lights out, okay? Now, this just comes down to how it's taught. If you're taught to read a double slant concept inside out, then this ball should have gone to Kyron Lacy. I like Kyron's matchup here better versus this nickel anyway. So if we had Kyron Lacy right here, he's probably scoring. Instead, we read it outside in. Last year, we missed a lot of inside-out slants, okay? Obviously, BTJ's going up against a corner who has inside leverage, so it's hard to run a slant on this. And we do eventually get it complete to BTJ, but he is short of the line to gain. Still, we settle for a field goal. All right, so we get to what I would consider a 14-point swing by Harold Perkins, okay? This is a 5-man front. Obviously, what Florida's trying to do is split zone this tight end, and this tight end, Boardingham, who is a receiving tight end, has to get over here and block Harold Perkins, and obviously he does not get there in time, okay? And this becomes a huge play. Now, why was this play so big by Harold Perkins? Well, it's not a difficult play. If you're unblocked, we want an athlete of this caliber to come downhill and make this play. The issue is there's not many athletes of this caliber, and you take a look at this RPO read. The tight end is running, the safety's running with the tight end right here. This is wide open to Pearsall. Wide open. Okay, it's cut off, but trust me, I have an extra angle to see that that's there, and Harold Perkins just causes heck right here, and this forces the offensive lineman to obviously get this ball, and then he hands it off to the initial guy who missed the block. One thing you don't see is a lot of these Florida players just kind of didn't come help him. I also saw no one go help the quarterback up after he got demolished. So, yeah, it's a very big play right there by Harold.
15-11.
Looking at you. Now, I don't know if that gave you chills, but it did me, and it might be that I was able to go. Big thanks to Doc John for hooking it up, and yeah, he's an awesome guy. It was awesome to see so many people in Tiger Stadium and see Cole Kublik draw this up. Obviously, this safety, takes himself out of this play initially because he is, obviously coming down into this box really heavy to help defend the run, and this is a zone read pull all the way. Now, at some point, teams are going to realize that Jayden Daniels is as good with the football in his hands as any running back that we have, right? And Caleb is really special with the football in his hands. You just don't want Jayden right now, the way he's running it, to ever have any touches. So the fact that Caleb draws this much gravity, these guys and this, we essentially have two people to beat. But it's all Malik Nabers again, okay? And we do have a PHL Malik Nabers fan club president, and his name is New Cupid, okay? Shout out to him. It was really good seeing him yesterday. So Malik essentially ends up blocking two guys because he is dominating his assignment. I mean, this is what offensive linemen do to people, putting your butt to the hole, right? And the hole here is the sideline, and look at that. I mean, you can't block it any better. And then 14 right here doesn't have the worst angle here. Good job by Kyron here at the bottom of the screen, okay? So 23 is backpedaling because, you're running a go like as if you're going out for a pass or whatever, and Kyron just flattens 23 right here, and that takes 23 completely out of this play, okay? So two receivers took out three guys here, okay? And, God, it's just freaking ridiculous, and BTJ hustles to try and get in front of 8. I'm not sure if it would have mattered because Jayden is just running away from people, and BTJ does eventually catch number 8. Man, that is just absolutely absurd running. And you'll see it again here from Malik. Jayden freaking Daniels, I reached out to someone that I trust when it comes to mile per hour data. He had Jayden Daniels at 21.9 miles. All right, so we move ahead to this 3rd and long, and this is the Andre Sam targeting call. I just don't love this defensive call, okay? We're struggling with rush 3 drop 8-ish principles. And Braden Swinson, who's had a good game rushing the quarterback, isn't rushing, right? He's just kind of sinking back into his zone, and this essentially becomes a very one-sided, uneven 3-man rush, okay? Then the second thing, which is something that, we talked about at length, okay, if Mason Smith is a head-up nose, I would prefer him to actually rush through this A-gap, especially if we have this side overloaded, because what happens here is we actually run into each other again, okay? I don't know how many more times we are going to stack guys in the same gap, right? It's just kind of gotten ridiculous. Savion Jones still fires off very high for me, and when you fire off high consistently, you just get very stiff, right? We're just very stiff right here in our pass rush, lanes, right? We're just kind of over the top of each other. Was this a twist or something like that? I have no idea. Then right here, Harold Perkins on this end. He gets a little bit of a chip right here from the guy who eventually picked up the first down, okay? So, once again, our pass rush is just not good on this 3rd and a mile. Second thing is this is open. All right, Graham Mertz missed a lot of open guys, okay? This ball could have been delivered for a first down. But this linebacker is pretty deep. Maybe this linebacker can come over here and make this play. But he eventually goes here, all right? So if we make this tackle right here in a 17-7 game, they are more than likely punting, okay? So we have not one but 2 guys right here to make the play. And Greg Penn just kind of loses his balance right here, as you can see. All right, and now we have Major Burns right here able to make this play. He gets juked out of his shoes, and now we get Andre Sam in the spot, and you saw him tackle like this earlier in the game, and they call targeting, and he misses a tackle anyway. So once again, just really, really bad defense, and as you can see, it's bad defense on all 3 levels. All right, so let's break this clip down. This is one of the worst defensive reps of the season. Now, I will say one positive was getting Jimmy Lindsey back. Good to see him, back with LSU football and getting a chance to be the defensive line coach. But, he's still getting back into the swing of things. He's not really back to his full self just yet, okay? This is a pretty good shot of gap integrity, okay? Each player is responsible for a gap. So your edge player right here has this outside contain. Omar Spates, this is his gap. This is Jordan Jefferson's gap. It's Greg Penn's gap, straight up the middle. Gap, 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 and safety fill right here. Okay? So we're actually running to the side where we are gap sound. Okay? We're filling this, okay, in theory. Now, let's first talk about the most important block on this play, which is the double team. And once again, for the gazillion time in recent weeks, Jordan Jefferson gets his back turned to where the football is going. You as a defensive lineman never, ever want this. Okay, in theory, it's better to be here than on the ground, but if you're standing straight up, that obviously widens this hole, right? If you're still in a stance or your legs are wider, you're at least stretching this play some, right? But because you stand straight up with your back turned, you are as good as if you were just in the stands, honestly. That's just not a good rep. Not at all, okay? Now, the second thing here is there is no reason for Omar Spates to leave this gap, okay? None. But because this double team is getting so heavily dominated, Omar thinks that Etienne's going to take this gap because now he's seeing a really good center for Florida get to this next level. So Omar is worried about this hole, being run through. And this is a good job by Etienne pressing this hole and then bouncing to where Omar was. Okay? And because this double is, such an epic piece of domination, this is an easy bounce for Etienne into this spot, and Omar doesn't make the play. Toviano's not a great run fitter just yet. We learned that versus the Alabama game, and, well, can you believe it? For the second time in 4 years, a shoe has fallen off and taken by a player. And honestly, at this point, if I'm Toviano, I'm chunking that thing into the stands because maybe, just maybe, that could help us finally stop Florida's rushing attack.
Blitz. Oh, good blitz pickup. Come on, Jayden. Give me one more, baby. You got too high. Let's run on it, baby. Let's run on them. They're in too high. All right, here we go. It's Hoss Juke. It's Hoss Juke. Watch. Watch the go from Malik.
Yeah, so let's break down Hoss Jukes. Hopefully the Florida defense didn't hear me. So obviously LSU has run this play quite a bit, especially in a hurry-up scenario. You know, you run on first versus that too high look. It did not work. Missed a few blocks. They had a good run stunt up front called. So now we get Hoss Juke, right? Hitches from the outside. Goes from the seams, okay? Now, I had one of you send me a message on Twitter. I believe it was Chris who said, hey, I saw from my vantage point that there was a time where Malik and BTJ were open on deep routes. Chris, I think this is the one you're talking about. Obviously, you know, we want to take these shots. We just don't have the time to do so because Florida has the perfect defense called right here for Hoss Juke, right? Alabama did a really good job versus us last week, stopping our shallow crossers with fire zones, right? So, you know, they bring an unblocked pressure from this edge. They crowd at the line of scrimmage, and they're playing zero coverage across the way with no safety up over the top and two guys, you know, sinking back. And these two guys are supposed to, you know, pick off any short crossers. So because this guy was in this lane right here, this makes this throw to Kyron very tough. It is behind him a little bit, but, you know, that's a tough grab to make. That's just really good defense. So if you are on Twitter, please go give me a follow. I ask every week, what would you like to see in the film study? And one of the most important and biggest responses I got was Josh Williams' blocking ability, and that's what sets up yet another Jayden Daniels run, okay? Now, once again, our blitz pickup is so freaking good, and Josh Williams, I mean, 23 just had a tough night. Kyron Lacey was the one who pancaked him earlier, and then Josh gets this block, and now 23 has to chase down Jayden Daniels. Guess what? You're not chasing him down. 17 was in hell all night too, and Jayden's just looking at him like, dude, you're not catching me. Why are you even trying? And, yeah, I mean, once again, you know, these guys are cutting each other off, right? You know, Jayden moves so fast that, you know, you can't even maintain your own balance just running, trying to chase him. It's ridiculous. But playing with Jayden Daniels, I used to say it's like playing with one extra player on the field because you have to account for his running ability. But at this point, I truly do mean this, and this sounds like major hyperbole, but it's like there's two-ish, maybe three extra players on the field, okay? So let's first break down what I mean by that. Obviously, you know, you always have to account for Jayden's running ability. But now defensive ends really can't do anything, right? If you over-pursue here, he's just going to run underneath. And, you know, even if you have a good mush rush in an angle, you're just not going to be able to catch him because he's so slippery, right? He's able to get into these spaces and pick up just huge gains. So these pass rushers honestly just have to sit right here, okay? Notice they can't rush upfield because they know Jayden's just going to run underneath it, okay? And the second extra player on the field, you know, it's obviously Jayden, cuts off your pass rushers. And why I say it's a third extra is when you have a dual threat quarterback, this is something that, you know, Milroe got us with, KJ got us with earlier in the year, KJ Jefferson of Arkansas, is the slow running back leak, right? Because a running back can help in pass protection. Obviously, everybody here is dominating their assignments, but they're kind of scared to really get upfield. Finally, Princely tries to get upfield. So let's just say Jayden doesn't actually throw this. Guess what he's going to do? He's just going to run right through here, okay? Now, you'll notice everything is covered, okay? Nobody is open. Nobody, all right? But because Josh leaked out and we are flooding this side of the field, there's just nobody over here. and it's easy pitch and catch. So even if you have it perfectly covered, even if your rush lane integrity is good, if Jayden is just, very patient back there in that pocket, something that he struggled with last year, guess what? He's just going to eventually find somebody open. So Josh eventually gets tackled down at the 5-yard line, and once again, Jayden Daniels, this is just absolutely ridiculous. Look at how wide these ends are playing now, this zone read game, because they're so scared of Jayden running around them. Look at how wide of a gap this is, okay? It does help having Mason freaking Taylor and Will Campbell. They are so good at double teaming and blocking down and sealing all of this. The split zone action for Malik carries his DB on out, and obviously this is as perfect of a run play you'll ever see in the red zone, where you're able to just skip on in there. Good run by Caleb. All right, so Florida, of course, drives right down the field, and here they are running counter GT, okay? So they're pulling this guard, they're pulling this tackle, and once again, this is slightly after the snap. They get a down block right here on Mason Smith. This really isn't his play to make. We need these play side guys starting to make some plays, okay? The good thing here is Greg Penn sees this counter happening pretty quickly, and he's trying to get over the top of it. The issue becomes if you get just a little too over-aggressive right here, they'll just take you just completely out of this play. And once again, we've got the same backers essentially in the same gap, okay? Now, it's not entirely on them, right? Once again, not a lot of chemistry there, not a lot of good, run, filling and all that. There's a few ways you could play counter, right? When these pullers come across, obviously Parashand has to have a collision with these pullers. Now, historically with Matt House, we have our end do something called spilling the puller, which means he goes to the inside shoulder of this puller. There's also just playing it straight up square. Now you're just hitting him, trying to make the best collision and, creating a two-gap opportunity. That's called boxing it. And we don't do either one of these well. Okay, notice his head gets down. Technique gets very sloppy here. You see, he just kind of catches this block. It's not really violent. You see, he loses his head, and now he has no idea where the football is. Yes, you're low in theory, but that's just not physical enough, if you ask me. And now he can't really see it. You see, he's just completely out-leveraged by 67. You've got to be able to disengage and then get over the top of this and make this play. It's not easy when you're catching a block, and now Etienne is just running through the middle. Andre Sam, remember, he's out of the game. So Ryan Yates still has a chance to come from a safety spot and make this play right here. And, well, it's just not good. Of course, Sadron takes himself out of the play. Nothing really new there. Some good blocking, down the field by Wilson on Toviano. Some true freshman on true freshman action. And Etienne scores. I hate to say it. I hate seeing this. All right, so, we get the fumble on the kickoff return from Caleb Jackson. We should keep him on kickoff return, right? I understand the idea that you want to just make sure you catch the kickoff return because Jayden is so freaking good. You just want to get him the football. But still, our defense has a chance to make a stop and force a field goal. But, of course, we give them back the lead. Boom! Looking at you. If you're watching this on a premiere right now, live on Sunday nights at around 8 is when we normally do our film studies, I'm challenging you right now. Drop a super chat. Whoever you are, I believe you could do it. I believe. And if you do, whoever the first one on this premiere does it, I am sending you a Chris Hilton rookie card right here. This is going to you because Chris makes a really good catch here. A lot like the one earlier. He breaks his tackle this time and gets a nice gain to get this drive going. Let's go.
Oh, he's got Malik one-on-one if he wants it. Yep. Told you.
Saying that we got to score 40 points to win.
So you saw the comeback to Malik and a full speed clip of Jayden's absolutely ridiculous run here. Y'all, I mean, you heard my cousin in the background complaining about the defense. I mean, look, we're just dominating them. But honestly, this time 17 accounts for the running back leaking. So Jayden doesn't actually throw it. Once again, you just run out of energy, right? And this run, I'm just not even going to say anything on this run. Y'all, they're not even touching him. He's looking. This is the 15-yard line, 20-yard line actually. He's already looking back at the defense. 20 yards. These are corners and DBs, edge guys. These aren't slow people, and they know Jayden can run. There's just nothing you can do. All right, so after Jacoby and Guillory got dragged off the field, we had this crazy third and medium, and finally, Matt House does what I have been asking, okay? The best type of pressure is what type of pressure? A-gap pressure. We are not a good four-man rush team, okay? So let's get something else going, even if that means sacrificing Harold Perkins dropping back into coverage. So we actually drop back into coverage our two best rushers, right? We drop Harold Perkins back into coverage and Braden Swinson back into coverage. And obviously Braden Swinson had a really good pass rush rep win earlier, and Perk had the sack, but that was more because of the offensive play design, if anything else. It was still a good play. But what we're doing here is we're cross-dogging these blitzers, okay? So Mason Smith's job is to take these two blockers. Greg Brooks' job is to cross the face of Omar Spates, and Omar Spates is supposed to loop around this play side A-gap, and guess what? We get exactly what we wanted. This could not have been timed any better from these two. Okay, Greg Brooks gets this double, Parashan eats this blocker, and guess what? We got one-on-one right here. Greg, obviously Omar Spates putting pressure right here on Graham Mertz. Now, the only issue is the ball was complete until, they reviewed it and said it was incomplete. Sage Ryan in press man coverage. This is a very difficult play for Sage to make, but then again, if Sage is in position to make a play, he normally doesn't make it until later in the game, so shout out to Sage. And he did a good job contesting this. At least we were aggressive. At least we finally got some A-gap pressure, and they did overturn it, and we'll take it. So good job overall by Sage sticking with the play and eventually making it, even though we had nobody on our sideline signaling incomplete outside of... Who is that? Shout out to 87, okay? Is that, who is 87? Shout out to you. You're the only one that called it, right? Nobody called this. It reminds me, BTJ had an overturn last year around this spot in the field. Nobody on the Florida bench was, saying it was incomplete, but they overturned and said it was. So they punt the football back, and we get to this 2nd and 2. And look, Florida's defense had made some stops, so I understood them punting. Once again, the pass protection is just so good. Everybody's dominating their one-on-one matchups. Once again, it does help that Jayden is killing them with the legs, so it does slow down the pass rush some. And Jayden, 3 has had such a rough career at Florida. Marshall, I've seen him get beat a lot. I think we actually beat him, last year. Eventually he does make this tackle, but God, it's such a perfect throw by Jayden Daniels. And then we eventually get to this 3rd and goal. Okay, this is a play we ran versus Arkansas for a touchdown, and Malik was wide open. I'm thinking this is the same play. I'd have to go back and look at it. And in theory, could you say that this is there right here for Malik? Yes. Also, there's kind of some bizarre coverage right here from Florida. They're trying to stay on top of this, the switch release fade. if you hit this, if you throw this right here, is 8 actually getting here in time? I'm not sure. But obviously that's covered though. 8 can obviously crash down. This could have been thrown to Malik, but he was right there. So Jayden just waits for Noah Cain to leak out. Somewhat like the Josh Williams play from earlier. Nobody wants to get upfield. And, of course, Noah Cain scores. All right, so Florida gets the football back. And, just right off the jump, they hit a deep shot here to their best player, Pearsall. Nasty swim move by Mason Smith. A very good inside rush move. Obviously, you could do this versus a quarterback who can't really run. And he actually deflected this. And maybe this caused an underthrow. And Pearsall makes a really good grab. Yeah, so we begin this fourth quarter. Obviously, me pop locking. I got on SEC Network doing some pop locking this weekend. We'll talk about that game, though, that I attended on Friday night. So good seeing so many of you this weekend. Shout out to my guy Samuel and all his crew for having me at his tailgate. And this is just such bad defense right here. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't know how Graham Mertz even missed this, right? Kind of looks like it's in his periphery because this is, like a straight center field safety. And it looks like he's trying to hit this double move to Pearsall. And we get some good interior rush right here by Jacoby and Guillory. Very adventurous game for him. Obviously, he had a hands-to-the-face penalty that extended a drive. That got him off Pearsall right here, but that was open if he could have stayed with it. But the bottom line here is we just let this tight end walk unabated into the end zone, right? Like, he's just right here running a simple go. I mean, I watched a lot of LSU football in Tiger Stadium. How many coverage busts have you seen worse than this one? That might not have been part of the progression. That might have just been one of the proverbial clear outs, if you will. So this ends up being a sack, and he's just chilling, just waiting for the ball, and he gets sacked. So that's why you saw me dancing, because the only thing worse than my dance moves is this defense. But I gotta admit, I got a little pop lock in me. Let's go. So even though you just saw that coverage bust, they're still able to drive down the field at will. I'm not going to show you the touchdown run, but this is essentially kind of the same thing you saw earlier. Them running counter. Greg Brooks is right here to make this play. He does a good job, avoiding the second-level center. Can't make it. Now we got Ovie Ogufu here. Mint Winston here to make a play. And he's there with Sage Ryan. Jordan Allen's now getting some playing time. And they get a huge gain, and then they do eventually score. On Jayden, let me see it. Let me see it before I show this defense again. I love how much he and us, enjoy each other's success. Good stuff. So we get back to Jayden here, continuing to cook. You're running a go route here, and Malik just runs, a corner right behind it. And once again, the pass protection is really good. Jayden throws a tight spiral to a wide open receiver. And once again, they had no answer for Malik Nabers. All things considered, especially for someone like Malik, 18 actually does a good job bringing him down. Kidding! He breaks another tackle. It's just ridiculous how many tackles he breaks, right? And once again, it's the undershirt pull that eventually slows him down. Does he actually get tackled if not for the undershirt tug? I don't know. But still. So they called a BS holding, and that knocked this back. No problem. They decide to bring another one of those simulated pressures. We pick it up pretty easily, and Jayden eventually hits BTJ. And it's just wide open, right? BTJ runs a really good route. Jayden's actually late on this one, and this ball is a little bit of an underthrow. But still, when you're playing as good as Jayden is, it's still a really good throw and a really freaking good catch by BTJ.
Go 0! 0! Go 0! Go 0! Bring everybody. Please bring everybody.
All right, so you heard me and my cousin Cliff right there. We want everyone to be brought, right? On 4th and short, versus Ole Miss, we called a zero blitz, and Ryan Yates had a huge pass deflection. Now, this isn't zero, but we do bring everybody with cover one safety Allen in the back. So the funny thing here is, obviously, Graham Mertz sees that pretty much everybody is coming on a blitz, and nobody actually gets home. Right? No, I mean, this is just not really all that well executed. But I just like bringing pressure because if you're not stopping anyone, at least force them to do something. This is a bad throw by Graham Mertz. He was not good in the second half. It's behind him. He still has to catch it. I would have probably worked to Pearsall, right, because he had been the hot hand in this game. But let's give Sage Ryan some credit here. I mean, this is a ridiculous play by him, okay? So he motions, and obviously Graham Mertz can see that this is man coverage everywhere you go. And last week versus Arkansas, they were able to get Wilson on some big plays motioning. And you see right here, he just has all the momentum in the world. It's got, Sage Ryan on his heels. But this is better stuff from Sage. It is 4th down. Drive as hard as you can to this ball. Right? On 4th and short, they're likely not running goes. They're running intermediate stuff. So drive down on this ball as hard as you can. That's exactly what he does. Okay? Could it have been better? Could he have been closer there? Yes. But notice he, displays all-out effort to get his hand on the football, to bat it loose. That is a better understanding of time and situation. So, yeah, Sage is taking a lot of criticism from basically everyone, including myself. You got to show him love when he makes a big play. So, in the background, Jayden's going to close this thing on out, and I'm going to share just a few thoughts from my vantage point being at the game. Once again, tailgating, the vibes, everything was just so immaculate going into this game. I felt when LSU was losing and Florida had all the momentum, right? You had the fumbled kickoff return, and, they take the lead. There was never a point in my mind that we were going to lose this game, right? And we played Jayden's full press conference clip on our live stream last night, so if you want to check it out, check it out. It was so unbelievably comforting knowing that we have the best player in the sport on our team, right? It's just that simple. He is so unfreaking believably good that, it's so clear he is the Heisman Trophy. And I think you guys have heard all the records. The first player to go over 600 total yards, first player to go 350 passing, 250 rushing, 98 QBR, which is near perfect. You really can't play the position that much better. And he was immaculate, right? And it's just the eye test, too. It's not just guys running wide open. It's really accurate throws, really good play calling, really good protection, all those things. But, I mean, a lot of this is because of Jayden Daniels. Your pass protection becomes better. Your defense isn't as important if you have Jayden Daniels as your quarterback, right? You're eliminating, punt coverage and all those different things, right? He just makes everything so much freaking easier. Now, I have spoken my piece about some of the play calling issues on both sides of the football, and more so, obviously, on the defensive side than the offensive side. I go a little bit deeper into the 4th down stuff on Patreon. Make sure you check it out. And, man, it is crazy. Look at Slade Roy sharing the vibes, baby. You got to love it. It is unfreaking believable what Jayden Daniels is doing. You are witnessing truly something transcendent right now. And it's to the point where Jayden, I think at this point, is better than some of the actual Heisman Trophy winners. Malik Nabers, I don't know if we're not watching the best wide receiver we've seen at LSU. I mean, you factor in his entire career, what he's done as a blocker in this game, what he did to get other people open, even on plays that didn't even work. It's unfreaking believable what he's done. So let's do it again. I know it worked the first time. I just believe in you guys. Look at Slade Roy keeping them vibes immaculate. Next $20 super chat. We're giving out this Malik Nabers rookie card. Okay. It's crazy that LSU ended up covering, for those of you that had Florida covering, the LSU defense stepped up on this 4th and 5 here at the end. You get the victory formation, and there you go. So comment down below. Don't forget, I stayed up really late. Obviously, coming back after the game and all that stuff, shooting the film studies. Please, if you can, please support Feed My Dog Fun. And we'll talk to you soon. Don't forget, live stream schedules are what they are, and we'll talk to you soon. It is Power Out LSU. Bam! And tonight we are doing some lemon pepper chicken wings. Let's go!